Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, so that first photo was myself doing a walk in Mount Wedge in southern Tasmania. And then in the middle, we've got Sam Cuff, good looking Sam there. And we've got Sam Duckworth there doing a walk, a recent walk. So thanks everybody for coming along. Yeah, so Sam, yeah, as I said before, Sam Cuff is the national training manager of all the guides. And Sam Duckworth works in marketing, so he's put this webinar together. So thanks, guys. As I said before, walking is only part of the adventure, and I sort of got into some of those things. But yeah, we like to walk the 3 days and then have a wow factor. We like to have local food, showcase the local food and the local wines. We have flexible walking options, and our guides are truly inspirational. Anyway.
Awesome. Yeah, I might head over to Sam Cup now. So we're going to give a quick overview of each of our tours in Tasmania, then hone in on probably our three most popular and favourite walks, which is Tarkine, Bay of Fires, and Three Capes. Hand over to you, Sam.
Great. Thanks, Sam and Mark. And yeah, thanks very much for coming along, everyone, today. So I'm from Tassie. I am biased, but anyone who's been to Tassie knows that it's a very, very special little green island at the southern end of Australia and the southern end of the world. And so just a little summary of Tassie. I mean, it is an incredible place. It's one of the most protected jurisdictions anywhere on Earth. So there's about 50% of Tasmania is protected in national parks, World Heritage Area or reserves. And obviously it's a small island, really compact. So one of the other benefits is that it's really easy to get around. It doesn't take too long compared to obviously other locations on mainland Australia. And it's super diverse as well. So, we feel like we're just cherry picking the absolute best of Tasmania and Tasmanian reserves and the walks and offering that to you in really nice, 3 and 4 day packages. So let's get into it. The first one we just want to highlight, thanks, Sam, is our Cradle Mountain Walk. So all of you would be familiar with Cradle Mountain. It's actually the oldest national park in Tasmania. It celebrated its 100th year birthday about 5 or 6 years ago. So we run a 4-day tour there. Cradle Mountain, it's an alpine experience, so subalpine and alpine, and it's really, we've got some pines here. So the Kingbilly and pencil pines, which are only now found in Tasmania. So they're a remnant of a long time past. They're very fire sensitive plants, unlike the majority of Australia, the majority of Tasmania. So you see these that are up to 1,200 years old, 1,200, maybe 1,400 years old, rimming beautiful alpine tarns with the gorgeous dolerite peaks of Cradle Mountain. And so on our Cradle Walk, we offer some more strenuous options. We offer some easier options. We stay in beautiful accommodation. So that's a sensational part of Tasmania in the world. If you haven't been there, you need to go and check out Cradle Mountain. So really, that probably is summarised by our beautiful alpine experience. Thanks, Sam. So we also offer, that's a 4-day tour. We also offer the option of guests choosing to go on a 5th day, and that's going up to the Walls of Jerusalem. So the Walls of Jerusalem is also part of the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area. Now, this is special because to become a World Heritage Area, you need to fulfill 1 out of 10 World Heritage sites. 1 out of 10 World Heritage values. And Tassie's World Heritage Area fulfills 7 out of 10, equal most anywhere on the planet, out of more than 1,000 World Heritage sites. So Cradle and Walls is part of that. Walls, it's a strenuous climb up into the Walls, but once you're up there, it's less visited than Cradle Mountain, and it is one of my favourite parts of Tassie to go. It's truly sensational. Freycinet. So Freycinet is equal oldest with Cradle Mountain. They were both declared in 1916. You'd all be familiar with Freycinet, Wineglass Bay. named because of the beautiful wine glass shape. So yeah, we stay at Freycinet Lodge, which is actually inside the national park. And each day we go on some stunning beach walks. So day one gets us up to the lookout over Wineglass Bay. Day two, we actually get on a boat and we go down to the southern end of the Freycinet Peninsula and then walk our way over some of the mountains and slowly make our way back. So that's awesome to have, a boat experience. You get a different perspective of the coastline, make your way back to Freycinet Lodge. And then day three, we get the option of walking up to the top of Mount Amos, where this middle image has been taken from. So that gives you a stunning vista over the whole peninsula. And then, yeah, lovely winery for lunch on the way back to Launceston. So a lovely 3-4 day walk there. Maria Island. I actually just came back from Maria. Maria Island with my son. Actually, we rode down to one of the campsites down there and had the most incredible wildlife experience. So Tassie devils have been recently released back to Maria Island, and we were walking along all by ourselves, didn't see another person all day, and we were walking along an isthmus, so a narrow part of the island, and we could see this Tassie devil walking up towards us and just kept walking up from about 200 meters away, kept coming. It stopped literally 2 meters in front of us, looked up, and then ran into the bushes. It was phenomenal. So those sorts of wild wildlife experiences, are obviously rare. And Maria Island has that in spades. Wombats, Cape Barren geese, the big forester kangaroos, Tassie devils. It's got all of Tasmania's 12 endemic birds. So if you like your wildlife, that's sensational. We actually now stay off island. So each day we go onto the island, we do beautiful mountain walk, we do some coastal walks, we go down to the well-known painted cliffs, we go to the fossil cliffs. But we stay at Triabunna in an old timber mill, which sounds not very good, but Graham Wood, the founder of forgotten what he founded, but he's essentially got a lot of money and he's an environmentalist, and he's bought this wood chip mill and he's turned into high-end bespoke accommodation. So you get this interesting insight into Tasmania's heritage, and then each day you go to the island. And on our way home, we go to another lovely winery. Going from one island to the next, Bruny Island. So this one leaves from Hobart, whereas those other, and as does Maria Island, leaves from Hobart and returns to Hobart, whereas Freycinet and Cradle Mountain start and finish in Launceston. So Bruny, 3-day tour. Bruny Island is a microcosm of Tasmania. It has stunning beaches. It has the big mountains. It has awesome wildlife, including the white, the albino wallabies you might have heard of, white wallabies you see bounding around. And then obviously fantastic produce. So we really created a package of, 3 days, making the most of the best walks on Bruny, but also tasting the oysters, the cheese, going to the local winery, local beer, local bread, and really just packaging it into something that you won't forget. Flinders Island. So we're island hopping, aren't we? Another island, obviously on the northeast of Tasmania. So part of the old land bridge that used to connect Tasmania to the mainland, which submerged about 12,000 years ago. So cutting off Flinders and Tasmania. Flinders Island. So Flinders Island, the geology there is the granite. And I say that because if you know the beaches around Freycinet, Wineglass Bay, or if you know the beaches around Wilson's Promontory, that's all the same granite bedrock. And therefore the landscape, the geomorphology all looks very similar, i.e. it's stunning. So that's a great 5-day tour. Okay, so that's just a snapshot of the other tours. What we wanted to do is get into a little bit more detail about our three most popular walks in Tasmania, and for good reason. So let's start with the Three Capes. So the Three Capes is a 3-day tour, starting and finishing in Hobart. The Three Capes have been built along the tallest sea cliffs in Australia. So at one point, they go down to about 315 metres. It's stunning dolerite rock. So you get these incredible big columns that you can see in some of these images, which makes for a really dramatic and striking landscape. The coastal vegetation is also really unique because It's battered by the strong winds. So when you're standing on the cliffs looking south, the next landmass is Macquarie Island, which is a bit off to the side, and then Antarctica. So you get the convergence of the Antarctic currents coming from the south, the East Australian current coming down Eastern Australia, and then the Leeuwin current coming around from the west. So what that does is it creates a really unique environment, both above the water and below the water. And so guests are often seeing whales, they're seeing albatross flying, they're seeing, your seals. You can actually smell and hear the seals on this first walk. So this is Cape Rao, day one, as you can see, about 15, 16 kilometres. You can choose to not walk all the way to the end. It's very flexible. There are a few uphills and downhills, but it's not overly strenuous. I'd say probably a moderate walk. It's a sensational walk. It's a sensational introduction to the Three Capes experience. You can see some of the images. It's a combination of boardwalk and gravel tracks. Some guests choose to use walking poles, others don't. You walk for about an hour through beautiful old growth forests where you're seeing a lot of the eucalyptus ovatas, which are the stringy barks. Some of those are sort of 80 meters tall, 300 to 400 years old. So really gorgeous old forest. Go out to the cliffs, check out the seals, hear and even smell the seals on a calm day, and eventually make your way back to our accommodation for night one. So this is Stewart's Bay Lodge. It's a standout accommodation on the Tasman Peninsula where the Three Capes are based. It's, I should say, from Hobart, this is about an hour and a half drive to the trailhead and then half an hour back to the accommodation. So all quite close. Have a beautiful meal at Stewart's Bay Lodge. They have a fantastic restaurant there, great chefs, always get wonderful feedback about the food on our Three Capes tour. And then day two is a longer walk. So this is a walk that actually not many of the other operators offer. It's called the Tasman Coastal Trail. It's about 19 kilometres. One of the beautiful things about this walk is it also goes through a cloud forest. So you get the mist and the clouds being pushed up the cliffs, and then they settle on the vegetation. So you create these little microclimates on that walk where you get rainforest species that are obviously usually associated with Western Tasmania on the tops of the mountains. So that's pretty cool. Lots of other wonderful features as you walk through there. The beauty with this day, like many of our tours, as we've already highlighted, is that for guests who don't want to do that full 19-kilometre walk, because once you sort of start, you can't really go halfway through and come out, is that the other guide will drive around and essentially give you a bespoke sightseeing experience on the Tasman Peninsula that day. So they can offer still walks up to 7 to 10 kilometres, or they can just take you to some of the really nice geological and flora and fauna features of the peninsula, share stories of those places, and then they can also drop you to Port Arthur if you want to go and experience Port Arthur that afternoon, before the guide drives and collects the walkers at the end of the day at Fortescue Bay Beach, which is the image you can see there. Back to Stewart's Bay Lodge for another night. We generally dine at 1830s, which is Port Arthur's high-end restaurant. Fantastic dining experience yet again. Back to Stewart's Bay Lodge for a night. And then day three we do a shorter walk. So that's Cape Hoy, another one of the Three Capes on the Tasman Peninsula. Stunning walk. Again, many wonderful experiences. And then the wow factor that afternoon. So you can choose between a helicopter flight over Cape Pillar or a Rob Pennicott wilderness cruise underneath Cape Pillar. Both of them are sensational. We obviously want to offer flexibility because we appreciate some people might not want the boat and conversely want the helicopter ride. So you can pick and choose whichever you would like. And one of the things, like Mark's alluded to, the guides. I'm also really proud of the guides, and we work really hard to train the guides and to nurture and support the guides to not just regurgitate information about the natural and cultural world, but actually share stories that are relevant and personal and engaging and entertaining and help to facilitate your connection to the place that you're visiting. And they've got all sorts of different techniques and tools that we practice and that they use to help reveal the layers of history and heritage that are so special and unique to the Tasman Peninsula. And it's, again, the same that we do on our other tours around Australia. So that's the three capes in summary. We'll have an opportunity at the end to ask questions. So just jot any down that come to mind. Meanwhile, I'm going to have a sip of water before I begin talking about the Bay of Fires.
What I was thinking, Sam, maybe just if anyone's on here just exclusively for that Three Capes walk and has any questions, we can just do a little quick snippet of questions now before we get into Bay of Fires.
I am Sam on just for Three Capes, and I'm walking on the 1st of March. So yeah, super excited. So
Awesome.
I think it just looks beautiful. Do you know what's keeping me up at night is what I'm going to wear, which is so crazy. What am I going to wear?
Well,
Sam, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, no worries. Firstly, I'll say I can see that it's Danny and Casper on your tour, who are
Okay,
absolute legends.
awesome, amazing.
What you'll wear. So it varies, right? It varies. Obviously, what's really important is 3 to 4 days before the tour. Like I'm telling you to suck eggs, yeah, but I'll go through the process. Check out the weather forecast for Port Arthur. So Port Arthur is the closest town that has a 7-day weather forecast. So that's going to really help to guide your decision making around what you're going to be wearing. The second point I would say is that Tasmania's weather is very changeable. So we always have a mantra that on every trip, on every tour, you always got your raincoat in your backpack, because even if it's not forecast, you never know. And worst case scenario, you're using it to sit on at lunch.
Yeah, okay.
So that would be my next point. In terms of footwear, as you can see in this image, there's a selection. There's some guests are choosing to wear the 3/4 ankle shoes, whilst others are wearing walking shoes. Rarely on the Three Capes track would you wear a full-length boot. I would be recommending sort of those sort of mid-length ankle supporting boots, because they obviously give you more support in the ankle. The Three Capes track has been designed to be a dry shoe or a dry boot experience, unlike things like the Overland track, the Tarkine Tour, and other parts of Western Tasmania, which tends to get wetter. So I would be looking for, a reasonable quality walking boot or walking shoe that you've worn in a bit. The more you wear in, the less likely you will have blisters. You don't want to be buying shoes the day before. Three Capes is very hot a lot of the time. So although it's in southeast Tassie, we do get strong winds and reasonable rainfall. I would be guessing 1 to 1.5 meters a year. It's also really hot, and March does tend to be quite settled weather. So sun protection is really important.
Yeah.
I wear long sleeves, at least in the top half, to protect my arms from the sun, and obviously that gives you some wind protection, a bit of warmth protection too. So breathable material like synthetic is good. Similarly, lots of guests choose to wear wool, so fine microfiber wool merinos is also good because it breathes well. It keeps you warm when it's wet. It's sustainable. And also it doesn't smell as much, which is also a bonus. But, synthetics also, obviously, walking shirts are designed for all their benefits too.
Thanks.
What's also, just one other point, it's also good because this is relevant for everyone, is layering. So layering up is also really good. So, not having just one shirt and one really warm jumper or jacket, for example, you'd be better off having, a light shirt, a light jumper, and a raincoat, so you can adjust, make slight adjustments to be more comfortable on the walk.
Yeah. No, great tip. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's really good. Ready to jump into our Bay of Fires walk. This is got to be one of the most iconic places in Tasmania. So can you hear all about it, Sam?
Sweet, no worries. So Bay of Fires, yep. So the Bay of Fires is one of my favourite parts of Tasmania. I've been going there since I was a kid, and we've had a family shack there for a long time. I've probably ran about 50 tours in the Bay of Fires. The Bay of Fires is renowned for its orange lichen encrusted granite rocks, white quartzite beaches, and azure blue ocean. And that's obviously what this image demonstrates perfectly. But it's more than that. It's actually a really interesting place that has a really strong Aboriginal cultural connection. It's a large cultural landscape, a large living place that's very significant to the Tasmanian Aboriginal people. And it's got many really interesting non-Aboriginal cultural stories that the guests share as well. So it's obviously a beach walk. It's a beach experience. I love it because I can take my shoes off on some of the beaches. I can go swimming at lunchtime. It's a very relaxed pace. There are spots where you can just sit on the beach by yourself and have time out to digitally disconnect, connect with yourself, connect with guests, connect with nature. So Bay of Fires tour is starting and finishing in Launceston. It's a 4-day tour. You have a day to yourself in Launceston on day one. On day two, the guests collect you and we drive out to the northeast of Tasmania. It's about a 2.5 hour drive. And day two's walk is a roughly 14 kilometre walk. It's a combination of beach, then over little rocky headlands and through little heathland tracks. The majority of days 1 and 2 is on the beach. Generally, it's really comfortable walking. The rocky headlands, we minimize the rocky headlands. We minimize the tricky rocky headlands so we can cut around heath tracks for some guests who may find that difficult. Also, the guides who know the tracks really well can take you through the easiest parts. We take our time, we work together. So if there's any concern about rock scrambling, we have guests who have low confidence and they get through and have a safe and enjoyable experience. So yeah, it's a fantastic walk, fantastic sea life, so many stories to share. We eventually make our way to our beach house. So actually we own this beach house, which means that we can control the experience. We can control the menu. We have a hot tub. We have fantastic Tasmanian wines. We have a lot of cool climate Tasmanian Pinots, specialise in the Tassie Pinot Reds, the Chardonnays, the Pinot Gris. And Northeast Tassie's got fantastic wine and fantastic food. So not only have we curated a menu which celebrates Tasmanian produce, it actually celebrates a lot of Northeast produce. It has a really strong Northeast provenance. So things like slow-cooked lamb shoulder. We have a lot of hazelnuts actually growing in Tasmania. So we have roasted hazelnuts. We have lots of walnuts. We have Tassie cherries. We have your wonderful Tasmanian cheeses and dairies, big cheese boards that we eat before dinner, 3-course meals. Yeah, you are spoiled, and it's good that you walk because you certainly have fantastic food. So day one, have a wonderful night with your newfound friends. Have a lovely, hot and cold breakfast, nice, nice filling breakfast. Day two is day 3, 16-kilometre walk. So the good thing about day 3 is that, again, if you don't feel like doing the full walk, there are options to reduce that. It's very similar to the day before. Bay of Fires was actually named by Tobias Furneaux. It's not because of the rocks, the orange on the rocks, which a lot of people think. We'll talk about all those stories, give you time out, let you swim, take countless photos that go straight to the pool room. And eventually we walk straight back into our accommodation that night and we have another wonderful experience, another meal, more shared memories. Day 3, we actually drive down to Binalong Bay. So Binalong Bay is just out of St. Helens. The Bay of Fires, Aboriginal name Larapuna, that stretches from Eddystone Point, Larapuna, down to been a long day. So day 4, we actually do a lovely walk, a 7-kilometer walk, takes sort of probably 2 to 3 hours, and that changes it up. We actually go through a dry sclerophyll heath environment. It's firm underfoot, so it's a nice contrast to the first 2 days. And then, as you can see, really lovely meal on the waterfront in St Helens, which is the largest town in northeast Tassie, before another 2.5 hour drive back to Launceston via the Fingal Valley. So we don't go back the same way. So you get a lovely loop of northeast Tassie, and yeah, back to Lonnie and another sensational tour.
That is great. Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, thanks, Sam.
I've never been there, but looks absolutely fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. Does anyone in the chat have any questions for Sam or myself or Mark about the Bay of Fires in particular? That's all good. So,
I've just got one question, and sorry, it's not Bay of Fires, but I think it's probably relevant to all the walks. And that's with regards to the day packs. We're doing the 3 Capes in October, and we started looking at the day packs, and there's so many of them. I guess, do we need a large one, a small one? Generally, what would you suggest?
25 litres.
That
yeah,
much?
I'm just sitting next to Mark, and he said 25 litres is great.
Sam would know.
But yeah, Sam, I'll hand this off to Sam again.
Yeah, g'day, Dan, is it?
Yes, Sam.
Yeah, so 25 litres would generally be appropriate. What I say is that, like, the packs, I mean, the difference between the weight of a 25 litre and, say, a 35 or even 35 litre pack is so minimal, yet the slightly larger one gives you more capacity and more flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably one point. Like, I've actually got a 38 litre pack that I find is a really good day pack size, not just for this sort of day walking, but obviously super flexible for, going picnicking and even going traveling as a smaller day bag. Some guests find that so October, it's generally not as hot, but it still can be warm. If you're walking in the warmer months, January, February, whether that be Tassie or elsewhere, you'll find that some of the day packs have the mesh that's against your back, and then there's some space that gives you, that obviously reduces sweat, makes it more comfortable. So that's quite a handy feature to have. Another feature is, if you're not going to be taking a water bladder, which, like a bladder that you can put through and drink out of, which I would say is actually a really good thing to have. It's a super helpful for you to continue to have small sips of water as you walk, rather than stopping every sort of half an hour, having a big guzzle, which means you need to go to the toilet more on the track. Mm-hmm. But the backpacks that have, drink bottle holders or extra little things that you can, like some elastic that you can put your jumper in, it's pretty handy to have those extra things rather than having to take your pack off each time and, undo it. And what's the other thing I was going to say? So, I mean, in terms of, price point and quality of material as well, there's obviously a big range out there. I am an advocate for getting a good quality one that's going to last longer. So a lot of hiking clothing and backpacks these days are obviously made, in Asian countries. They tend to be a bit cheaper, those ones. I've actually bought a canvas day pack from One Planet, which is an Australian owned and made business. I don't have shares in it, but it's really quality. I've had it for about 15 years and it's still going strong. Whereas you'll find that the thinner sort of synthetic materials tend to tear a bit more quickly. Yeah. So that's just another consideration. Mark?
Yeah. Hey, I do remember now. Mine is 35 litres, and it's an Osprey. But just think about the things that you need to carry in your backpack. Would be, as Sam said before, a raincoat, your lunch, a side webbing for your water bottle if you go that way, and maybe some first aid things. So, and a top section. That's really all you need. I think 35 is pretty genuine. That's what most people would use. Do you think, Sam?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's good to know because we were looking at some, like 16s. I'm thinking, well, that may be enough, but that's good guidance. We'll go higher.
Yeah, but also I think a good thing to note is Sam, the two guides carry a big backpack with all our supplies. So first aid, they also have all our teas and coffees at the top of the trail. They carry our lunches, like all these things too. So when I went walking, I didn't carry too much at all. I think I had a really small backpack and that was fine for me. So it's just suited to what you would like.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
And I'll just jump in to respond to Lynn because she's just asked what age range of guests oldest you've had and can you advise how to prepare physically? Just very quickly, Mark's been on more of these recent tours, but in the last tour actually I ran, we had 3 in their 80s. I think there was an 83-year-old, and I've also had guests 12 years. It's a really diverse range of ages, but I'm sure Sam and Mark have got examples of older and younger. Is that right, fellas?
Yeah, I'd say the majority. Sometimes, girls groups in their 40s or 50s, and then you might get, a smattering of anything from 40s to 50s to 60s. I'd say 40. If you had to generalize, it might be 50 to 70 or somewhere in there. Some older, some younger, but I'd say 50 to 70 would be your majority of people. But you never know your luck in a big city.
And preparing physically, yeah, I mean, it's probably exactly what you would have guessed, really. It's just getting sort of Ks in the legs. It obviously depends on which particular walk or tour you're doing, and then, which walks on those tours. If you have an aspiration, for example, to do a mountain walk or a more challenging walk, then that's what you need to sort of be aiming for to train yourself into that, train yourself up for that. So, more of the mountainous environments and perhaps with a 5 kilo backpack. So not heavy, but still wearing a backpack to sort of get used to that. Gradually building up, not trying to go too hard, too quickly, gradually building up, doing it regularly. As you know, it's sort of hard work to get the fitness. You've got to keep doing it constantly, and it's very easy to lose it. So slowly, working your way up and continuing to do it regularly in the months into your trip is definitely advisable. And just that big point about your shoes, really get used to find good shoes that you feel comfortable in, and then wear them in so it minimizes any issues on the track.
Yeah, great points. Cheers, Sam. And yeah, Lynn just said great advice. Thank you too. That's nice. So what do we have now? We have the Tarkine. I'm going to jump in here and talk as a bit of a change of voice. And then Sam, yeah, if you have any pointers, please jump in to help me. But yeah, I was actually on this walk end of last week. I was on here and absolutely loved it. It's a 4-day trip starting out of Launceston, and you start at 1 p.m. leaving from the Grand Chancellor. And then you get a bus ride, small bus, mini bus with all the other guests. You load in your big backpack in the trailer behind the bus. And then, sorry, you load your big bag, and then you've got a small backpack with you in the bus. You make your way all the way to Tulla, and then that's where you're going to be doing a small walk along the lakeside. So there's Grand Chancellor, and there's Tulla. So the walking really gets going on the second day, and this is a fantastic walk up Mount Farrell, as you can see in that top left. It is a walk. It takes about 5 hours, but it's quite hard, quite steep. I would say, yeah, the description there is perfect. So grade, moderate to difficult, steeply inclined mountain walking, but you get rewarded with the most magnificent views over the lake there. There's also an easier, flexible walking option on this day where you go around the boardwalks, a short 5. It says 3 hours there, but I think they can adapt to the kind of group that you have, which is amazing. Last group that went, I didn't go on the easy option. They actually saw some platypus in one of the lakes there, in the creek, sorry. So yeah, fantastic. Loved Mount Farrell. Anything to add there, Sam?
Only to say that when you get to the top of Mount Farrell, you're on the roof of Tasmania, and for 150 kilometres east and 150 kilometres south, you're staring out over what was a large glacier only 18,000 years ago. So it's this large glaciated landscape. You see the peak of Mount Ossa, Cradle Mountain, so all of the overland track mountains. Ossa's the highest mountain in Tasmania. Do you feel very small, very tired, and very satisfied?
Yes. Sorry, just coming through here. Yes, and then on the next day, we go to the coast. So we drive a little bit further down to Corinna Wildlife or Wilderness Lodge. And that's when we start to really connect with nature and disconnect from the internet. So on this day 3, we get a private boat transfer down the Pieman River and follow the Tarkine Coastal Track. I'd say this is a great walk. Again, we did 2 groups today. We did an easier and a harder. The easier group did 13K, so it was relatively flat. Yeah, so sometimes you were on some pebbles, going through some tracks in between the shrubs. Yeah, I would definitely recommend a good level of fitness for this walk. It was similar also, Lichen, on the rocks, which made a fantastic red for us to observe. Yeah, fantastic day. We were just so remote, which is what I love the most. Getting out there into a part where no humans go to frequently. There's some great photos. We're loving it.
So just to reiterate on Sam's point then, this is one of the least visited parts of Tasmania. So you can see in that image, actually, that's a really good image. There's a walking track on the southern side of Pieman River. And that's where the boat that leaves from Corinna takes the public. If they want to do a boat cruise and be dropped off, they walk on the southern side. We walk on the northern side by and large. Very occasionally we can't due to weather, but by and large we do. And you would have less than 200 people who aren't our walkers probably going to this part of Tassie a year. It is extremely remote, but still safe. And it's one of the richest cultural heritage sites in Australia. So there are Aboriginal hut depressions, there are petroglyphs, so rock carvings, there's large living places, also you may know them as middens. And the button grass plains throughout this Tarkine tour, which is like a grass, have been made and curated, fostered by fire stick farming over 40 odd thousand years. So it's a really rich and incredible wilderness experience.
Yeah, fantastic. And then our last day, that's when we really jump into the Tarkine rainforest. We do 2 walks on this day. The first walk we do along the lake there, along the Pieman River, which is beautiful. And there's some really fun little rope sections. I went with harder group. Then there's also an easier group that just goes along some boardwalks and easier tracks. So yeah, morning walk, 6.8 Ks, 3.5 to 4 hours, moderate grade walk. And then on the second part of the day, you go to Philosopher's Falls. And this was hands down my favorite walk of the trip. So green, lush, and just incredible landscape. Is so untouched. As you can see there in the bottom right, moss covering all the trees. And then you head down a little bit further on the track, down all these steps, and end up at some beautiful waterfalls that you can see on the bottom left. So yeah, that is the Tarkine. 3 days. I was very impressed by the diversity in each of the 3 days. The first day, you get an incredible mountain walk, overseeing the lakes in every which direction. Then second walking day, you go into the coast, explore all that magnificent remote West Tasmania, and then here on the fourth day, you explore the dense rainforest. So yes, lovely Tarkine.
And I
I'm
might
now
just
going to, yeah,
give me just talk a bit about the conservation custodians project that we've
perfect.
set up.
Yes.
Yeah, so as Mark was saying, Mark and Vicky, the owners of the company, want to create experiences that go beyond just bushwalking and just food. Yet the walks are incredible, the food is incredible, the wow factors, the helicopter rides and boat trips are amazing. But they want to provide experiences that actually give back to the places that we're visiting. And the Tarkine is such a great place to trial that. So we've developed an initiative called Conservation Custodians, where we give you, the guests, an opportunity to give back to the place that you're walking in. So on the Tarkine tour, we've partnered up with a couple of Tasmanian not-for-profit conservation organisations, Nature Trackers and the Bookend Trust. And what we're doing is we're actually doing really cool citizen science work. So Tassie is a global hotspot for freshwater and burrowing crayfish. There are about 37 different species in Tassie alone. A lot of them are threatened or endangered, and we don't know much about them. So the scientists at those two organisations and us have developed this project. They've developed a project and we're supporting them. It's called Claws on the Line. And essentially what you do is along the walk, so you're just enjoying the walks as you would normally be doing, but we have this really powerful app where we're actually getting data. So we're finding the burrowing crayfish. There's these little chimneys that are popping up through the rainforest everywhere. You sometimes see the crayfish. You sometimes just see the burrows, sometimes see the holes, and we're logging all of that data. And that data is helping to inform decision makers about how many species there are, where they're at, what density, which obviously is key data to help make good decisions. The Tarkine, second largest temperate rainforest on Earth, largest temperate rainforest in Australia, but also the largest unprotected wilderness area in Australia. And so we feel that by getting more scientific data and more scientific evidence, it only helps to improve the protection of this place. And this is your opportunity to get involved.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks so much, Sam. So we've got some questions that I quickly want to talk about. Sam, the first one was Marie. Oh, sorry, Lynn was saying, Marie said questions about rope section of the Tarkine walk. What is actually involved?
Yeah, no worries. So,
yeah, jump in.
Hi, Marie. How you going?
Good, thanks.
No, good to hear. So that is on the last day of the tour. It's the Savage River Walk. So I'll sort of say from the beginning, there are two walks on that day. So we have the Savage River Walk and we also have the White River Walk. So if you don't want to do the Savage River Walk, there's always a guide running the White River Walk, which is actually the walk that I did on this last Tarkine tour, and it is the same incredible rainforest environment. It's just a bit easier. So the White River Walk is about an hour and a half to 2 hour gentle undulating loop. The Savage River Walk with the ropes, there's about a 300-meter altitude gain. It takes about three and a half hour walk over, what is it? It is about 7 kilometers. And the ropes are positioned on one of the sort of wet, I probably even wouldn't even call it a hill, it's more of a knoll in the rainforest. So you can imagine a wet environment, slippery. But the ropes, I don't use the ropes. So the ropes aren't essential, they're a helpful aid. So that probably starts to paint the picture. And essentially, they're helping you just get up the slippery little incline and then sort of, down the other side. But they're not essential. So I'm able to sort of walk up. Some of the guests choose to use them for a bit more support, and that's great. And other guests choose not to.
Is it what sort of altitude or elevation gain is there for that rope section?
Oh, the actual rope section is 10, 15 meters. It's not
okay.
not far at all. Yeah, not far at all. That 300-meter altitude gain I referred to is, over a number of kilometers up and down a hill. This is actually just a little, undulating part of the rainforest where there's a bit of a small little steep bit, but
yeah, it's a bit muddy at times.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I think I have a picture of it. Thanks.
Yeah, cool. You could actually potentially Google Savage River Walk, or you could Google it, of course, and there may be images of that particular rope section.
Well, I was going to say, Sam, I was going to show this video quickly, and I think there's a slide. I'll pause the video at the right section that has the ropes in it.
Sure.
So I'm not too sure if the audio will come through to everyone, but luckily there's some captions. And this is a lovely lady I interviewed as we're doing the Tarkine walk a couple of weeks ago. She was explaining how much she loved just not plodding along, but rather really engaging with the walk, specifically in that Claws on the Line initiative that Sam has been taking part of. So let's just watch it. Let me see if I can get the audio, because that would be quite fun. Get that going.
Maybe while Sam's doing that, I can answer Shannon's question.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry. Who was it?
Lynn, I think, about the weather.
Lynn. Yep, Lynn. So occasionally, how will I answer this? Certainly, at times, the weather conditions make it unsafe to walk. It doesn't happen a lot. If it's, sprinkling or even sort of raining, but there's not a significant, it's not an alpine environment where there's a significant risk of hypothermia. But if it's raining and drizzly, generally the guides are still running the walks. It might be that on those particular days there are more guests that choose to do the easier option. We empower our guides to be flexible and to make sensible decisions to maximize the safety and enjoyment of the guests. So they certainly adjusted at times, but only rarely would they actually stop. Probably the heat is another one. So in other parts of Australia, we might have a really super hot day on the Larapinta Trail. We might start really early, or we might adjust the walks. We might actually do different walks on different days to make it safer. So there's a lot of little adjustments that happen, but generally you're still able to do the majority, if not all, the walks advertised.
Yeah, awesome. Fantastic. Let me see if this video will work, Sam. If I click on it, the audio definitely works for me. I just want to see if it works for you. Can you hear that audio, Sam?
Just frozen. No.
Not coming through?
No.
That's all right. I'll just play the video and read along the slides, and then I'll pause it at that rope section so you can see.
We had Savage River. The mountains were right. Should have prayed fishing that bar.
Okay, I might just, that's a really good idea. I might put this link in the chat so everyone can see. It's just on Instagram. And yeah, I'd love if you could watch that in your own time. And please explore the page on Instagram. We have lots of little videos uncovering the best parts of the walk.
And just to quickly answer Norlene's question about leeches, leeches appear actually on a lot of our walks at times. So they're obviously an invertebrate that lives in moist conditions. And so sometimes on our three capes, sometimes on our Tarkine tours and some of the other tours, they occasionally crop up. But the guides are so experienced that we have a number of strategies that we firstly minimize the chances of getting leeches. And then secondly, if anyone gets a leech, we safely and quickly remove it. So nothing to be concerned of. It's actually, a really interesting and incredible part of that wilderness experience.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Very nice. I saw Adrian just put in the chat earlier that the ropes are fun. I've got to agree with you. The ropes are pretty fun. The guests do like it. Any other questions for anyone? Well, we got our guides manager, Mark Norrick here. And not just questions about Tarkine or three Capes of Bear Fires, anything actually. Open the floor. Oh, 1 minute. Adrian is 65 years old. How good. Love to see everyone still walking. As a little summary, Sam, if no one's got any questions, but obviously please feel free, anyone, to interrupt me if you've got a question. Just want to give a 1 sentence or 20 seconds encapsulating each of those three walks you've talked about today. So the Bay of Fires, Three Capes, and Tarkine.
Yeah, sure. Bay of Fires, beaches, beautiful beaches, Tasmanian produce, hot tubs and wine.
Yeah, the produce is amazing. I think the produce is incredible, and the menu you came up with is incredible. So thank you.
And then Tarkine, I think you summed it up, Sam. That it's the largest temperate rainforest in Australia, but it's not just rainforest. It's mountains, it's button grass plains, it's wild coast. And it's those rainforests dripping with moss and lichen and fungi. Whereas the Three Capes is just such an iconic walk in Australia now. Anyone who has done it raves about it. You've just got these taller sea cliffs in Australia. You've got really comfortable, high-end accommodation, and you've got it all so close to Hobart. So you fly in, fly out, do it in 3 nights. So yeah, you can't go wrong with that one either.
Yeah, just saw Jenny has put that question in the chat where this gets recorded. Yes, it will be on our website. And probably tomorrow I'll get around to uploading it. But yeah, this is getting recorded for everyone. But also, if anyone wants to stick around and ask a question more privately to us, more than welcome to do that too. So we're going to officially end the webinar. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming. Thank you so much, Sam Cuff. That was amazing having you here with that detailed information. You just know all these walks like the back of your hand. Love it. So yeah, cheers everyone for coming.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Sam.
See you later, guys.
See you later.
Yeah, if you want to stick around to ask your questions, we'll be here for the next couple of minutes. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. Can't wait.
See you, Marie.
Thanks for all the feedback, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa.
I can't wait to do this walk. It's going to be amazing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is incredible.
Is that
Thank
Lisa?
you for
Nolene.
Oh, Nolene. Which one are you doing again? Oh, the Tarkine. Yeah, you'll love it.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait to do that. It'll be
Do lots of training
oh,
and be the leader of the pack. Yeah,
that's
just
great.
enjoy it. Don't worry. It's not a race. It'll be fine.
Great talk. Thanks, guys.
No problem. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you. Sharon, see you in the Bay of Fires. Yes. Can't wait to see you too. No worries. See you, Sam.
Yes, yes, Sam. Well done, mate. You were really awesome. Thank you so much.
Cheers, cheers.
You're great. Your knowledge is incredible. Did a better job than I do.
No, not at all. No, take care. I'd stay, but I can hear the children about to have a meltdown.
Yeah, yeah. Get into
See you,
it.
Dan and
See you,
Kim.
mate.
See ya.
Okay. See ya.
See you, Dan. See you, Kim and Carla. Oh, thanks so much, Carla. It was very nice. So, out of anyone here, if you've got any questions, please, yeah, feel free to ask away.
Is anyone asking a question? Can I ask one?
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
please.
I always wonder about uh, with the coach, how what top of the range you have to go to. Did the southwest coast of Cornwall and got absolutely sopping wet. So I had a top of the range jacket. So now I'm wondering what is the best overall jacket? Do you have to spend top dollar or? Mhm.
Oh, that's a good question.
I spend top dollar on my jacket, and I probably get a new one every 3 years. In that they do lose their ability to soak out the water.
What a little trick I do with my jacket
Uh-huh.
is you put it in the dryer with a tennis ball. So sorry, you wash it first with go to any kind of outdoor clothing
Yeah.
shop, and they'll have a special wash specific to Gore-Tex. You
Yep.
wash it with that mix. I did this with my snow shell jacket. So yeah, it was a Gore-Tex
Yeah.
jacket. You put it in the wash it once, and then you put it into the dryer with a tennis ball, and it reactivates some Gore-Tex chemical, and then
Oh.
it's completely waterproof again. It makes the water bead off. So that's what I do to get my jacket looking top notch again. Yeah. Do you,
Yeah.
what brand
Wow.
is yours? Do you remember?
Yeah. Australian brand. Mountain Designs.
Mountain Designs. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they're pretty good. Matt
What
Pack.
brand was yours?
Mark
Oh,
had
Matt Pack. Okay.
Matt Pack or Mountain Designs.
Bound Designs. Ah,
Just make sure it's Gore-Tex.
Yeah, it's a good tip. The Gore-Tex.
yeah. One of the ones I was looking at is that Arctect. Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
Arctect.
Arctrix.
Arctrex.
Yeah, that's the one I have, and that's
Yeah,
great.
gee,
It's
so
a bit
expensive.
expensive,
Lots
but
of walking, it's a must.
It is.
Spend good money on raincoat.
It's a must.
Yeah. And then layer.
Shoes are the same, and my shoes have been fantastic. But I wondered, do I have to go that expensive with a jacket, or worth it?
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if you're a big walker, I'll definitely say it's worth it.
Yeah. And if you get
Okay.
lost, it could save your life.
Okay.
The guy. Luckily, we're the guy.
Yeah. Well, if you're doing it personally and you're out, if you're out every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, which one did you say you have? Something bound?
Mark's had a mountain designs and a Mac Pack.
Oh, okay.
They were
Yep,
both
yep.
good. But then I've got an Arctrix jacket that I quite enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's well.
Okay. Oh, that's good because I'm sort of that's where I've been heading in the right direction with that.
Yeah.
Mm,
It's like getting tires on a car. Make sure they're good.
yeah. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was just spending a lot of money for a name.
I'd say your raincoat's probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, your boots.
Yeah.
Boots, raincoat. You think of anything much more important?
Yeah. Very good. No worries.
Terrific. Thank you.
No, thanks for coming. Really enjoyed having you here, Lisa. Cheers.
Yeah. Yeah. It was lovely to hear everything you've said. I've done most of those walks, so it was great to just read.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's cool then.
Yeah.
Nice.
You do them with us?
Well, I was with 10 years ago. Don't
Yeah.
think that was with you guys.
Okay. That's all
I
right.
did the Tarkine just before COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
And capes and
Awesome.
frozen.
Done it all.
But
How
I'd like to
good.
do Cradle Mountain. And I haven't done Cradle Mountain and Wall of Jerusalem yet. I'd like to aim for that.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's quite a hard one. Near the top, there's a bit of the climbing you have to do. No, but Sam's told me all about it.
Yeah.
Trail's pretty full on.
Yeah.
But just getting to Kitchener Park.
Yeah.
Below there is about 20 k's. So it's a big day, but it's all boardwalk now to get up to Cradle. But the last bit's quite hard.
Yeah. Hi, Fiona. How are you? Yeah, so I think you just dropped out there, Lisa, for a second. We were just saying, or Mark was saying that there's boardwalk.
Yeah.
It's quite a hard even getting to Kitchen's Hut. It's about 20
Yeah.
kilometers. And then from there.
Okay, wow. Would it be harder than Lara Pinta? Oh, I lost you. Do you think it would be harder than Lara Pinta?
Very similar.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. So if you can do, what counts point day? The day 8 would
Yeah.
be similar to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, because I didn't find Lara. I found it challenging, but not too challenging. It was
Wow. Okay.
wrong,
Well,
so that
I found Lara Pinta very challenging. Yeah. I
the
reckon
heat
that's
was
one
the
of the
only thing that
toughest
was
walks
really
we do. Okay.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. Oh, especially counts point day. That's a very hard walk.
Yeah.
There's lots of
Yeah.
lots of awkward boulders that are very loose. It's very
Okay.
unusual, that walk.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
you're walking on
Yeah.
quartzite, so it's very unforgiving.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll build up to that. I'll get back into it.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
worries. I'm just saying, Fiona.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for us? Or Wendy, just saw you've recently joined. Do you have any questions? Okay. All good. Well, we might just wrap it up there, guys. Thanks so much for coming. And
Lovely to meet you all.
yeah, lovely to meet everyone.